my name is Melissa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap-up. So it is kind of already the middle of September, so I do apologize for getting this video up a little bit later than I wanted to, but I have 25 books that I read last month, so I have a lot to talk about. I participated in the N.E.W.T.S magical readathon as well as the used bookathon, and yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the books that I read this month. The very first book that I read actually completed a prompt for the N.E.W.T.S magical readathon, and that was Sort of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is a second chance author, and I'm so glad I did. The first book, An Enchantment Ravens, I just wasn't a really big fan of, but I kept seeing this book everywhere, and I decided to jump on the hype train and give it a try. I am so glad I did. So this book is about a girl named Elizabeth who wants to be a warden. Basically, she will protect the world from evil books that evil sorcerers made. Basically, these books can become grimoires, and basically they end up becoming these evil beings or something like that. I freaking love this book. The romance was super cute, had some great side characters, and really just a really strong main character that I really was rooting for the entire time. I wasn't ever bored. Basically, if you're looking for a really good standalone book, this is definitely one to pick up. So the second book that I ended up completing last month was for the used bookathon, and that was The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. I loved this book until about like 60 pages until the end, and then something happened that just made me really angry, and just, I don't know, I had like steam coming out of my ears. It was just not, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. But other than that part, which I'm not going to tell you because there's some spoilers, but basically I really did enjoy the beginning of this book. The author has some great humor. You can definitely tell that this was written a couple years back. There's some topics that, you know, just aren't really what you would see in today's, you know, writing, things like that. I did want to give this author another chance, so I bought the second book in the series to continue on, because I do hear that this series does get better as it goes on. So yes, I definitely want to still give this author another try, even though I just didn't like this one. The third book that I read this past month was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is a mystery book where basically I would kind of say it is an Agatha Christie inspired sci-fi twist novel. I really did enjoy this. It definitely was very detailed. There was a lot of, you know, a lot of characters, and you definitely had to pay attention to everything that was going on. I started this book the month prior and stopped about page 200 and picked this up, you know, at the beginning of last month. So I really wish I hadn't done that because there is so many different intricate plot points of this book, and if I had just continued reading it, it would have kind of like, it would have made more sense. I probably could have read it a little bit faster. But that being said, this is definitely very interesting. The main character, Aiden, he ends up having to relive each day over and over again and basically find out who murdered Evelyn Hardcastle. So this was very different. You see him embody different characters. It's really interesting because those characters, depending on how strong they are, you know, as a person, can kind of influence him. I did kind of get a little I don't know, bored because it was the same day over and over again, but I do think the author really threw in a lot of different details and aspects, you know, through each character. So that being said, this was very good. It is a little bit, you know, chunkier of a, you know, mystery thriller novel, but I really did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. Just because it was a little bit tough to get through all the characters, things like that. So either way, very good though. Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore was an arc that I received from Berkeley Romance from NetGalley, and I absolutely love this book so much. So it is a historical romance that has a feminist twist. So Annabelle, the main character, wants to go to Oxford and learn at university, but in doing so she needs a scholarship because her, I believe, cousin isn't going to pay for it. So the women's suffrage movement basically says, if you will help us, we will help you, and in order to get her scholarship money, she has to befriend the Duke, Sebastian Montgomery, and basically get him to support their movement. So he was kind of, you know, very, you know, poised type person, very typical, you know, historical romance figure. But this book was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the female friendships in this because a lot of times you get female friendships and they're just very catty. Maybe they don't even have female friends, but in this book series, everybody really supports each other and all that good stuff. So in the book, Annabelle makes some decisions that are for the good of everyone and ends up kind of making decisions that I wanted to, you know, slap her upside the head, but you know, it's a book, so I couldn't, but I still really enjoyed it. The back and forth between the two main characters was really, really cute, as well as I do wish that the ending wasn't cut off so short. I do believe it kind of should have been drawn out a little bit more after all this buildup, and it just felt like it ended rather quickly. But other than that, I really did enjoy this. The cover is so cute and the characters are cute. They're really cute together. Basically, read it if you are interested. Just saying. Broken Night by L.J. Shin. I also received this as an ARC to review, and let me just tell you, this has to be one of my favorite L.J. Shin books. I loved the characters. So I really loved, you know, Knight's parents' story as well as Luna's parents' story, and seeing their children and all their relationships is just so much fun. I love this spin-off series. I really liked Knight. He is so fiercely protective of Luna, and Luna is basically considered, you know, Saint Luna because she always does good things for others, but she has this like condition where she chooses not to speak to people because of an incident that happened in her past. So she probably talks to like 1 or 2 different people at most, and very rarely. So that kind of leads him to be very protective of her, and I thought that was just absolutely so sweet. So their teenage relationship is kind of not in the best place. You know, Luna kind of likes him, he likes her, but you know, they just never get together, and basically he is with all these other girls and it causes a lot of issues between them, and eventually they stop being friends. I really did enjoy seeing the 2 characters times apart and not just together. This book was a lot more than just a romance book. There was a lot of family things. There was illness that was involved, especially if you read the first series, you'll know what I'm talking about, having to do with the parents. So that really hit home for me, and I just really connected to the story in that way. So if you are looking for a book that has more than just a wonderful romance, but has some family dynamics and heartache and just amazingness, this is one that I absolutely loved. Well Met by Jen DeLuca is another book that I received an ARC for review, and I really did enjoy this. It's about a girl named Emily who gets dumped by her lawyer ex-boyfriend, and she finds herself in need of a place to stay, so she goes to help out her sister who was in a car crash. So basically she's helping take her sister to doctor's appointments, and her sister's daughter, or her niece, a niece, that's what that's called. She helps her niece, you know, go back and forth to different things, and she finds out that in order for her niece to participate in this Renaissance fair, she has to as well. So this is a small town romance as well, because basically the Renaissance fair is like one of the biggest things that this town puts on, and she just doesn't kind of get it. So you definitely see her, you know, not really understanding how important this Renaissance fair is. So the hero Simon is very interesting to read about, because you see him in his like everyday life where he's, you know, buttoned up all the way and very, you know, strict and not that great to get along with, or so it seems. And then when he's in his pirate costume at the Renaissance fair, you know, sweeping her off her feet and all this cute stuff. So what I really loved about this book was the setting. So every year near me there is a Renaissance fair, so it kind of just brought up all these, you know, childhood memories for me, and seeing all that was really, really cool. But connection to the book, that's kind of where it ended for me. When I read this, I was kind of in a reading slump. I was forcing myself to get this book finished, and maybe that's why I just didn't connect to it as much as everybody else. But I did find it really cute. The setting was amazing, but I just didn't connect with the book. So what I really liked about this was the family dynamic, and seeing the 2 sisters who are, you know, very far apart in age and, you know, didn't really grow up together, seeing them connect and, you know, really become a family, that was really, really cute, and I really liked that a lot. I read the first 2 books in the Adamson All-Boys Academy series by C.M. Stunich. This is a reverse harem bully romance, and this definitely reminded me of a manga, oh god, I don't know, I'm getting my words confused. But it reminded me of the Host Club. I can't even remember the name of that series. But I read the first volume. This literally reminded me of that. So the main character ends up going to an all-boys school because the school is trying to integrate girls into their school. But she doesn't want to be the guinea pig, so she decides she's going to dress up as a boy, which is kind of counterproductive, but whatever. So she comes from California. She's kind of a brat, and honestly, I just didn't connect with her character because I found her kind of annoying. But it was still interesting to read. I was in a book slump. They were really quick and easy to get through, so I read the first two. It was okay. I read the next two books in the Boys of Oak Park Prep series. The first book I read back in, I believe it was June, but this is a reverse harem bully romance, and in the first book, Talia ends up coming home from work and finds her father dead. So she's about to go to a foster home, and ends up finding out that she has grandparents that live out in California and they are going to take her in. So she flies out there, ends up going to this really prestigious school and attracts the attention of the princes. So this is another one of those things where it's like, ooh, the guys are, you know, all that, and you know, they're gonna bully her because they don't want her there, blah blah blah. But yes, this was something interesting. Again, I was like in a weird reading slump this past month, so I just kind of was like reading things that were quick, easy, kind of mindless reads. I really did enjoy the first one. I mean, I obviously continued with the second and the third, so yeah. The next two books I read were in the Bay Fall High series. This again is another bully reverse harem book, and yeah, I don't know. This was another one where the girl's mom ends up ODing, you know, so she's in the hospital. She ends up getting, you know, somehow saved by a old friend that they used to live with, and she's really, really rich. So again, she is, you know, from the bad side of town, ends up going to the good side of town, goes to a fancy school, attracts the in crowd, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of like a lot of the same thing that I was reading this past month. But yeah, I read the first two books. The third one recently came out, but I really don't think I am going to be continuing with the series. So to continue on with the bully high school romance books that I was reading, I read the first three books in the Kings of Mercia Academy. Yeah, it was not that original of a series or that great of a series, so I don't know why I read the first three, but I did. This is about a girl who goes to a British boarding school where, you know, they don't like her because she's American. They just really just don't like her. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. I don't know where I read the first three, but I did, and yeah, it kept my attention. It did that. But yeah, it was Kindle Unlimited, so, you know, all I wasted was my time. I read the first two books in the Marked Bully Reverse Harem series. Again, this one was absolutely ridiculous. It was nothing special. I found it quite over the top. The main character goes to a school, and in the school there's this group of kids that are like selected to hand out punishments to the other students. Like, the teachers like leave everything to the kids to do it, and it's just really weird. I don't know, there was like a whole secret society thing that was happening with it. I don't know, very odd. I don't know why I read two books in this series, but I did, and yeah, I'm definitely not continuing on with it. So next I read 5 books out of the 6-book series of, let me see, All the Pretty Monsters by Christy Cutting, which is basically C.M. Stunich. So she has different pen names that she writes under. But anyways, yeah, so it's very, very similar. It is a paranormal reverse harem book. So this is a series about a girl who ends up going to this new town. Her mom has passed away, leaves her this house in this really small town. Basically, it's full of, you know, weird things, different monsters, that type of stuff. So you have vampires, werewolves, all that kind of stuff, and all of them live in the same town. It was interesting. It was definitely funny. It kept me on my toes. I really like this author's humor and the way that she writes her characters, and that prompted me to end up rereading the first 2 books in the Darkside series, which is another reverse harem paranormal romance. I loved these a lot more, actually, but I didn't continue on with the series. I believe there's 4 books in it, and it is complete. But yeah, so this is about a girl who is a ghost, or a ghost, you're not really sure what she is in the first one, but she only is attached to these 4 guys, and she doesn't know why. Basically, if she's not around them, she kind of like disappears, and at first they don't see her, they don't even know she's there, and eventually they start to be able to see her. As she grows more powerful, they grow more powerful. It's really funny. There's a lot of humor in it, and she makes a lot of funny jokes and comments and things like that, but I really liked it, and I definitely had a fun reread of the first 2 books. Guarding the Countess by Jess Michaels was a book that I received from NetGalley as an art to review. This is a novella, so you don't really get a lot of backstory, you don't get a lot of really anything. So the characters kind of meet, there's a lot of insta love, which comes along with a novella, but I don't know, it was interesting because there was a little bit more plot point. The main character, her husbands end up keep dying on her, and now she's kind of seen as this like black widow, and people are thinking that she is the one that is causing her husband's murders. So she goes to this investigative team, these two guys, and yeah, it's a polyamorous relationship, and it's interesting to kind of see how that, you know, develops, things like that. But unfortunately, I found the dialogue whenever the characters talked or anything was very uncomfortable, very stiff. It didn't seem like it kind of flowed naturally. That's the only thing that I had a problem with, the insta love in that. But then again, it is a novella, it's very short. I read it in probably like an hour or so. Still interesting, fun to read. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching my August wrap up. I know we're in the middle of September, so I do apologize that it took me a little while to get this to you. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you've read any of these books or have any thoughts or opinions on them, I would love to hear about it and chat about it in the comments down below. So I hope you have a great day and happy reading. Bye!